we go straight into our technical session, which is titled Expert Views, Driving Holistic Sustainability Agenda, GBS and GCCs as Agents of Change. I'd like to invite the panelists, starting with Shankar Iyer, Director, VBU, Transportation, Smart Cities, Sustainable Infrastructure, Johnson Controls. Let's have a round of applause for Shankar Iyer. I'd also like to call Anil Radhakrishnan, Chief Financial Officer, Plant Lipids. I think the applause can certainly be louder. Welcome, Anil Radhakrishnan here. And Ankit Gupta, President, Brookfield Properties.
You want to swap the places?
And moderating this session, Abhinav Goel, Vice President, Industry Engagement and Strategic Initiatives, SSF Global. So it's over to you, Abhinav, to take this session ahead.
All right, I've got a really illustrious panel, people who know more about sustainability than I could imagine myself knowing. So, well, good organizations earn a lot of profit. Great organizations make this world a better place. And sustainability is one of the most important contributions that we can make to our society as our organizations grow, and especially from a GBS and GCC standpoint. It'll be great to know from this panel today, from these esteemed speakers, what is it that is being done? What is it that can be done? And what does the future really look like for us? And before I kind of get into the set of questions that I've thought about, with the permission of my panelists here, just wanted to let you know that Ankit has a flight to catch. So he might have to step out in the middle of the session. So I'll focus a little bit more on the questions that I wanted to have Ankit answer for us, given how much work Brookfield's been doing around sustainability. So please bear with me as I do that, right? So, as we can sort of kick this conversation off for the next half an hour, 40 minutes, I wanted to talk about sustainability as a concept and holistic sustainability, Ankit. And when it comes to GBS and GCC organizations, please share your overall views on what does holistic sustainability really mean and mean specifically for GBS and GCC organizations.
Sure. So thanks for inviting me on this panel, Abhinav. I will talk in the context of the workplace environment with respect to sustainability, because given we as Brookfield Properties have many of the GCCs housed in our campuses, we are closely aware of what the tenants look at and how we are partnering with them in their journey. So from a sustainability standpoint, the GCCs in today's world are looking at their occupiers focusing on things like decarbonization, things like green certifications, renewable energy, and even sustainable build efforts. In addition to that, there is a lot of focus, and we, for example, in most of our campuses, provide amenitization of the highest order to be able to provide the full ESG service. This includes retail, F&B, amenities like daycare, gyms, etc., which provide easy accessibility to a very 360-degree kind of workforce. That also, by the way, includes accessibility from a angle of diversity and inclusion, because a lot of these companies now are focusing on diversity and inclusion in the workplace from a talent perspective. The kind of penetration of number of women across the ladder, whether it's in leadership positions or at the grassroots hiring level, has gone up, and there is like even enough proven evidence of how that is increasing the overall outcomes and the culture and the environment of these companies. So overall, I would say there is a lot we have done, given our global presence in global partnerships. And in India, we are making a significant movement on the overall sustainability efforts along with our partners.
Right, fantastic. And Ankit, I recently attended one roundtable where Brookfield released a research report around sustainability. I think it was in partnership with NASSCOM. And there was this conversation around Brookfield trying to go net neutral by 2040, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that. How are you approaching that target, and how are some of your customers and partners in India adapting to that sort of a change that you're driving in your facilities?
Yeah, no, so we are taking our net zero targets very, very seriously. And we are putting enough investment, both in terms of our initiatives as well as in terms of our monetary investments to be able to achieve that sooner. We have internally taken a much steeper target, but 2040 is the official claim. To give you all an example, as we speak today, more than 95% of our buildings are green certified. As we speak today, for our campuses in NCR, so we have kind of a presence in 10 cities in India, but our campuses in NCR are equipped with 40% of the total energy that is consumed in our campuses by our tenants being supplied through renewable solar energy. And when I say we are making monetary investments, this is a classic example of where we as Brookfield Real Estate have partnered with our sister company called Brookfield Renewables. We have put up a solar power plant in Bikaner, invested behind it as a joint venture, and it is that solar power plant that feeds these campuses. Today, it's 40%. By 2027, our internal target is to have all our campuses as 100% renewable energy, which, by the way, is, and by the way, even with 40% today, it's a first in the industry. So that's an example of what we're doing. We are, by the way, tying up with many of our partners and collaborating on their global sustainability or ESG targets. For example, we have one of our large tenants as a French multinational. We've tied up with them as one of our largest green leases amongst many others that we've done. But this is a green lease for about 1 million square feet, where we are now working with them on decarbonization, on, like I said, green energy, to be able to help them achieve their targets. Similarly, we've tied up in another British financial services company who's our tenant, with whom we've tied up on their ESG goals, which includes providing financial inclusion services to some of the blue-collared workers working in our campuses, as well as we've tied up with several schools around our campus to be able to help them in their journey.
Fantastic. Now, those are some really, really unique initiatives that, I'm sure a lot of us would love to learn a little bit more about, that we got a little bit more time with you today, Ankit. So Shankar, just coming on to you, Johnson's Controls. We had this conversation a little while back, a couple of days back. There's a lot of phenomenal work happening at Johnson's Controls and has been happening for a long time. What is your approach towards sustainability as an agenda and as a key initiative in the organization? And how can this group of GCCs and GBS benefit from some of the work that's been happening at Johnson's Controls?
Great. Thanks. First of all, I'd like to compliment my panel here. Ankit, what he just said is seeing it to believing, because they believe, they say that 2040, but actually the kind of work what they're doing is extraordinary. Why I'm saying that, we are one among the companies who believes in decarbonization, because Johnson Controls building management solution as a product, services, and the applications what we use, it's most importantly looked at what they do as our end customer and their end customer, the citizens who are actually enjoying the benefit of the work what they're doing. Having said that, what I believe in sustainability as a subject, what we see here is there are a lot of companies really have gone into, when you look at the governance, corporate governance structure, you have one side a CSR, you have one side currently spoken about the ESG norms, which is the top of the discussion at the boardroom. And then future, we are also talking about the BRSR, which is coming in place. Having seen the two things, which is already, I mean, government came up with the CSR fund of 2%. We are seeing a lot of work happening in that 2%, directly, indirectly benefiting the citizens in the country and the children in the country. Given the same ESG from a building point of view, really, you see that 40%, I don't know how many of you know, 40% of the carbon emission happens from the building. Therefore, decarbonization of that through the alternative energy, what Ankit was mentioning here, and various steps which needs to be taken is a must-do item. With that must-do, the BRSR, when it comes in place, it is really going to be a standard stringent norms to report even the company's perspective and the health of the company when you report. I would leave it at there to continue the next.
Sure. Thank you so much, Shankar. And I'll have one last question for Ankit before I let him go from here. I know he needs to leave. So, taking all of these initiatives is fantastic, right? Shankar, you spoke about it. Ankit, there's a lot of work that Brookfield's doing. But a lot of this work becomes real when we engage our people in driving sustainability, right? In driving the ESG agenda, when we build that culture of sustainability in the organization. So Ankit, as you build these workplaces for the future, and as you help your customers and clients establish these businesses and offices at your facilities, how are you enabling this culture of sustainability across the workforce that's actually going to come and work there? What's your thought on that? How do we drive that culture of sustainability in an organization?
Yeah, sure. I think that's a easier said than done outcome. And I would like to actually take a cue from the earlier speech that Captain was giving, where I think it's a part of two things, right? One, the mandate gets initiated at the top and taken up very seriously, because without that, then the organization doesn't take anything seriously. But frankly, it's that the last 100 meters or 100 feet is delivered by the last mile. And it is actually enabling that front which creates the action happen on the ground, or the rubber hits the road. And from there, that perspective, all the kind of things that I've mentioned that we have been able to implement has actually been implemented by our teams. Now, whether it's, for example, in our engineering teams, where a lot of the focus on decarbonization, waste management, BMS, for example, we've now tied up with a few companies where we are trying to assess AI related possibilities for trying to do data-driven analytics on figuring out decarbonization and energy optimization. Right? But this is being done by the teams. We are working with a company on IoT measures to be able to improve our BMS, again, being driven by our teams. The examples I mentioned of what we've done with our customers as a partnership, or even the green building certifications, all that has been achieved by taking very practical targets and allowing the teams and making them capable to deliver all of these outcomes, and significantly then celebrating these outcomes.
Sure, absolutely. And I'd love to talk a little bit more to Anil, you and Shankar about driving the culture of sustainability in the organization. But before that, we'll take a slight intermission as we let Ankit leave from the venue.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much.
much.
My apologies. Unfortunately.
Airport now, yeah?
Yes, I have to be, but it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Thanks. Thanks.
Just
Thank
give
you,
me 1 minute, Ankit. We've got a memento for you that we'd like to get you.
Oh.
40 minutes delay.
Yeah.
cost everything.
There you go, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you around. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Right. Yeah,
Do you want us to change here or you?
I
Yeah.
can move in.
Okay.
You
can change the name board.
No, that's okay. All right. So, let's continue talking a little bit more about driving a culture of sustainability in the organization. It's a very important aspect because if you don't really take the people along, a lot of these top-down, top-driven mandates really fall apart, right? So, Anil, coming to you, a lot of interesting work happening at Plant Lipids. I think people in this room probably don't understand what Plant Lipids does. So, tell us a little briefly about how, what's your interesting business model that you're working on, and how an Indian company is actually so actively pursuing the ESG agenda, and what's been your success in driving that?
Yeah, thanks, Abhinav. I mean, just to talk about the plant lipids first to make you understand. So we are in the food ingredients and food processing industry, okay, based out of Cochin, and we have got manufacturing all across India. We have got 3-4 manufacturing in abroad. I mean, in Sri Lanka, Germany, UK, and little bit, I mean, it's coming up in Thailand and goes on. I mean, and we have got our sales offices 8 countries apart from that. So that's a high level background about that. But for us, if you ask me, Abhinav, I mean, actually sustainability is kind of an evaluation. Okay, so I will again put it in 2 ways. I mean, actually prior to COVID and after COVID. So prior to COVID, I mean, so we were looking at GBS or GCC, a kind of, I mean, streamlining our regular processes. Okay, so just we were having IT as a central hub. People are managing the whole global operations. Then, I mean, so finance was, I mean, actually centralized. Small operation. I'm not talking about 1,000 people sitting and working, but only for our global operation, summing it up. After COVID, I mean, actually during COVID, what happened? I mean, actually we were, I mean, actually food being a priority segment. I mean, we were trying to really serve our customers across the globe. Though we were all, I mean, actually, I mean, shut down and sitting in, whichever part of your world, we were forced to deliver the materials to the global customers. So that has made a whole change. The why means, I mean, actually food is a priority segment. Our vehicles were now being stopped on the roads. Tickets have been issued to continue, and global customers have been serviced. So we centralized our global customer service team in a place, Cochin, which is also a very remote team. So we were having our IT already working. We centralized our procurement for the global operation. For any part of the manufacturing in the globe, I mean, actually we procure from China or from Africa or any part of the world. I mean, actually, actually what most of the procurements happening nowadays from China and Africa, raw materials I'm talking about, okay? All this, I mean, given actually we started working on to ensuring our back office support is very sustainable. In terms of, I mean, actually some of the initiatives, I mean, actually our data centers, we started focusing on, I mean, giving all sort of green support on data centers. I mean, improving on the digital platform.
Right.
So we started improving our ERP. So how to ensure that actually it's a robust and guess the best out of all these activities. So we, I mean, then actually supporting the global customers was one of the biggest activity, even though sales was happening all across. I mean, it's the customer complaints used to get logged in at the one place to support global customers. I mean, actually I can cite one example. I mean, there is one company called Fever Tree. I don't know whether you might know. It's a US based company. I mean, actually we give a lot of, extracts, food extracts. I mean, actually it's a ginger extract and those sort of stuff. So they use it in their product. I mean, they demand it should be organic and it should be, all sort of backup has to be there. While the US was, I mean, actually, working, the teams are working over there. The back office team sitting here coordinated for their complete certifications. They want to come and, I mean, actually make a video of the organic farming. The team coordinated for all those things. So that way, if you ask me, actually, it is completely centralized and actually it is, all sort of supporting system required for the global customers. Nowadays, I mean, actually the food safety standards are all high standards. And I mean, all this, unless you have the sustainable process in procurement, you are not in a position to, convince your customers. And of course, I mean, after COVID, business grew. I mean, it has literally, moved to a certain level.
Sure.
So that is how I should depend. But it's a complete evaluation started, I mean, on the manufacturing side, or other way anyway. So we all know that initially all we talk about sustainability is, okay, only, I mean, you have to have an ETP. You need to have only basic sustainable things environmentally. That's after, I mean, actually COVID, I mean, we have actually worked on all those things, and we have implemented ISO 14001, ISO 14064, and all, I mean, actually carbon emissions, everything has been put it on track. That's how the kind of
So taking sustainability beyond just
GBS
into
being
the
a back end,
business
GBS being a
operations.
back end. I mean,
Yes,
front end
yes.
is of course our other operations. That's
Sure,
what I would like
sure.
to
Thanks, Anil.
showcase.
So Shankar, talking about and continuing about culture, how does Johnson's Control drive culture, and what's your take on what could be done a little bit differently or better in making sure that more people within the organization are engaged and involved, and they feel rewarded when it comes to driving sustainability?
Okay, so I will pick the concept within Johnson Controls and as customers, what they are looking for from a sustainability point of view. First, from the customer's point of view, if you look at, I go back to what I said from the norms, whether it is COP 29 to 40, all those while it is happening. When we look at the brown buildings to a green building or a new green building when it is initiated for a sustainability as a story. Over the last 2 to 3 decades, a lot of work which has happened in the brown building. As I said, carbon emission, which is contributing to 40%, and the energy efficiency, which if it needs to improve. We look at first aspect of what is the energy consumption which is happening directly, indirectly at that premise. How do we try and measure that? So it's important first to take stock of the measurement of what you do. You measure that and then try and bring an activity chart to look at what is the kind of improvement plans we can make there. That improvement plan will also have the attraction of understanding whether the changes what you are making from the observation of what you did, what is the kind of capital expenditure which you need to put, and what it takes to take the operational measures to improve the measurement what you have put together. So very clearly a cadence of that, if you are able to bring in the context of the investments what you do, the improvements what you look at giving to the employees who are sitting in the organization there, can you give a quality life for them? Because almost 16 hours they're sitting in a indoor premises, whether it is at home or whether it is office. So how do we try and make that place better? So you measure first, you implement what is required to be done. And then when you implement, is it end of the day, any companies who are going to invest, is it sustainable for them to live up to the long term and to match the green building first time right, which is happening? I must say in India and neighboring countries, whether it is GCC or in any of the places, when you look at the global footprint, there is a huge amount of focus which is happening to make it first time right. So that first time right, how do we travel from the brown to green and green to sustain? Within the company, we definitely look at moving this needle big time. I would also say that we cater from India, we cater the innovation center, which is there in Bangalore and in Gurgaon as well as in Pune. We cater to the 70% of the world from the shared service point of view of people from the finance perspective and also from the innovation. What kind of healthy building can be given, how sustainable it can be done, and making sure that the future is brighter. That's what we do.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Shankar. In fact, that's another question I wanted to get to from a GBS GCC standpoint. We are these hubs sitting in India, for example, but we have linkages with different parts of our organization and different geographies, whether in India or outside. So if a GCC was to become the enabler of sustainability in an organization, how does a GCC play a larger role going beyond, our own facility, within Bangalore or Delhi or Hyderabad, whatever? How do we actually become enablers of sustainability in the larger organization? How do we collaborate? I know you spoke about it a little bit, Anil, but if both of you could share that, how do GCCs become enablers of sustainability, not just within the GCC, but in the larger organization, like you were talking, Shankar?
So there are, I would say there, today, when I was sitting in the table with my fellow colleagues there, sustainability is a word which is used very nicely in all the places. But having said that, there are forums which are available within India and worldwide. How can we try and bring certain consensus between those top 5, bottom 5, or the medium 5 forums which are available? Let's take out good practices, what they have put together. Case in point, I would like to say in India, we have IGBC, India Green Building Council, which is really looking at sustainability as a big topic. Billions of square feet has been converted in India. I'm proud to say that they are really looking at making the standards coming in place. So how do we try and work with those entities and bring them to a approach to see that question number 1 to 5, can we answer the first one and the second one in a limited time frame? And then in the medium term and long term, what could be put together? I think we are in the cusp of it. A lot of people talking about it. How do we try and convert into a measured approach is what I would like to say.
Sure. Anil, your views on that?
Yeah, I mean, actually, in addition to what he mentioned, it's our objective also, I mean, customers facing team is on the front end. Anytime actually GBS, I mean, and GCC are all on the, I mean, actually supporting teams to enable our ultimate goal of, I mean, actually growth and, I mean, customer satisfaction, loyalty building, brand building, all those things being the prime drivers. Okay, if you look at, I mean, actually, how do we do is actually, we have 4 buckets, basically. Okay, so environment actually initiatives, one bucket. So second, we have all our labor and the human rights. Okay, so that is if you look at that in the European Union and the US, actually that's a buzzword. All our customers want these sort of points. So third comes, I mean, all our business ethics, I mean, corporate governance, all your, all related area. And finally, I mean, actually on the procurement. Sustainability. So these are the 4 buckets we put all our sustainability related activities. So on the environment, I mean, initially, I mean, if you look at, it's only one pollution control license is ultimate. So now that is not enough. So we need, I mean, to carbon controls, I mean, energy savings and, I mean, water savings, waste management not only on to your manufacturing facility. So they are even at the procurement level itself, we need to demonstrate. For example, like, I mean, I mean, actually biodiversity rules are coming into play now.
Yeah.
In the biodiversity, the requirement is, I mean, so we need to give a certificate, rather, we need to get a certificate from the local panchayat of these, particular products to showcase that. Example, we need to procure lemongrass from Orissa. So the local panchayat where we procure the lemongrass, I mean, so we need to get a certificate from that panchayat telling that, okay, so this waste, I mean, whatever is, after manufacturing, we got the capability to dispose it off. Right? Okay, so that kind of things comes under, it's very tough. Okay, the cost of this compliance is too much. Though we call it as sustainability or whatever, the cost of compliance is, I mean, actually killing. And not only, I mean, we certify it, there are certification agencies will come and verify and prove, and they score it and benchmark it. And I mean, if your benchmarking is not good enough, your global multinational companies will rate you in their supplier procurements, all sort of challenges we have. Okay, so having said that, I mean, actually, so we actually trying, again, as I told, it's an evolution. So we're trying to move on there. I mean, coming to the labor part, labor and human rights, I mean, actually, we try to educate all our teams, a lot of awareness sessions, and ensuring that all our, I mean, actually, they have been taken care of, workers' council is there, ensuring, I mean, all the basic compliance have been taken. So you got all the, wherever possible, the workers have been, or the labor people have been given an opportunity to, hear or learn on our management side.
Sure.
Okay. Third comes the ethics part of that. We need to give, when we get the purchase order from the customer, actually, even we need to certify telling that all the business ethics are followed, anti-corruption, so basic things. Looks very simple, but I mean, nowadays it is very tough. I mean, then comes all your procurement. I mean, sustainable procurement. The sustainable procurement is another horrible area. I mean, actually, again, mentioning it's a costly affair. Earlier, it's not that it's not there. I mean, earlier, it was never been warranted, or we need to demonstrate, or we need to keep a documentation for that. Now, actually, with the back office team, the GBS, or I mean, from our team, capability team, so they keep all the track of the procurements happening for the global things. And whoever customer wants, I mean, actually, we will provide that.
Right.
So that, I mean, their requirement also has been taken care of, because in the European standards are all very, very tough. So that is how actually we manage this entire sustainability.
Absolutely. And of course, you have a unique business model. And I
Yeah.
totally agree. I mean, the meeting these standards required by some of your partners overseas in Europe or North America, I'm sure keeps you on your toes. So with that, what I wanted to do was to actually put up a question that we have. So we got a Mentimeter question coming up. I just want to make sure that everybody moves their uses their brain a little bit here. So if you can put that question up on the screen, Shilpa, it's just going to come up in a minute. So we'll have everybody vote, and please share your views around this question. The question that's going to come up on the screen is how can GBS and GCCs embed sustainability into their core operations, and what initiatives or frameworks have delivered impactful results? So that's the question. It's up on the screen. You can go to menti.com, use 49799589 as a code. I've got some answers coming up already. So it'll be good to see what the audience thinks in terms of how can sustainability become a part of the core operations, and which initiatives and frameworks deliver meaningful results from a sustainability standpoint, right? So a few more answers coming up. Yes, changing.
More people are voting.
Let's just wait for another 30 seconds for some more answers to pop up. Right, so fairly well split right now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a couple of these frameworks and initiatives. So the first one was around implementing sustainability focused KPIs. That's something I wanted to very quickly talk about. Shankar, KPIs are important. I mentioned yesterday, for those of you who were here, if you can't measure it, you can't fix it, right? So what sort of KPIs would you recommend? And how mature do you think the KPIs today are in terms of helping us frame our future targets?
Okay, so as I mentioned, measurement is critical. Those KPIs, if you look at from a corporate perspective, or from a government perspective, or from the individual, but even at home, what are the kind of KPIs you would look at to do a neutral net zero journey at home? I must say that I'll give a simple example of first within home. I looked at my electricity bill of the home. It was coming to close to 20K per month, the alternative month billing. Then I when you look at what's the kind of opportunity you have to go and neutralize that a bit. So looked at the option of solar. If I need to negate to give back, what is that billing and the kind of kilowatt we need to put? I mean, I recently got the implementation of the solar done. I can make out that over the period of next 1.5, 18 months, the capital investment, what I have done there, is going to become neutral. And I would have given back electricity through the grid back into through the solar back into the grid. This is within home. When you look at from the measurement of what is required to be done at a corporate sector, I would simply say that begin with what are the wastages which are there. We spoke about energy, the waste elimination from the solid waste management and the liquid, the light, the efficiency, what you can. So all these parameters, if you are, and the travel, we are talking about scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. It's all good. Everybody is reporting. How do we try and take one chunk of it with this, which is permissible within the control of the boardroom, the management, the middle management, and the last mile who is there as the employees. If employees are able to contribute to the goal of that implementation, believe you me, it will be a much easier journey for the first step. Then when you look at from the government point of view, there is a lot of work happening from each of the municipal corporations, which be it from the waste management or from the sustainable infrastructure, what they are putting together. We work very closely with a couple of governments, so we know what are the kind of investments they are expecting and then the returns to the citizens for a better living. So I will leave it there by saying measurement, 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 and the investment, what you do, calculatively do that, and then bring success of one measurement to go to the next one. Leave it at that.
Fair point. And one of the options that we had, which scored the lowest, was leveraging AI in data analytics. And I would just add any other new age technology to that to substantiate or to help in decision making when it comes to sustainability goals and targets. Anil, your thoughts on how new age technology and data can help us build better plans around sustainability?
Yeah, I mean, actually, see, so there are, I mean, very similar to what Shankar sir has mentioned. I mean, so there are a lot of requirement even on from the government's bodies itself to measure these things. So take ISO 51000, I mean, it's basically on the energy. So unless you are equipped for digitally to capturing all this information. So in our case, I mean, actually on the energy per se, if you take it, so we have got solar power plants in many plants. So we have got windmills, multiple locations, multiple states, we have got windmills. So also, I mean, actually, we have got the carbon emission norms, I mean, actually, certain activities being done at every plant. So collating all those things and, I mean, actually, putting it across and demonstrating to our outside world. So that is what, I mean, actually, the critical thing. For that, I mean, actually, so what we do is, I mean, it's all internally developed only, but it's all digital tools only. We use it basically to showcase these things to outside world, because ultimately that is what critical. So whatever we do, sustainable, all those things meant for what? I mean, actually to improve your business or ensuring your, the path of, I mean, we are socially also committed. So that is the two things. So to demonstrate that, I mean, actually, unless we have the digital tools, to showcase our excellence in certain improvement, whatever we made, it's very difficult. So we developed certain digital tools to mark on those things, especially on the energy part. And also, I mean, waste also, we have got certain meters attached in multiple things. I mean, so these are all tracked back to your, digital stuff and all.
Sure. And Shankar, from your standpoint, do you see a role of AI and data analytics in ESG and sustainability?
Of course.
Yep.
In fact, that's the mantra which is running. I personally at Johnson Controls, as I said, the Innovation Center, it's all about what an AI can bring to that area of improvement. Again, that improvement, at your fingertips, you are able to measure it. Imagine that AI is able to transform that into your screen as employees, as management, as individuals and citizens of that place. I mean, you go to a municipal corporation today, as I mentioned earlier, they have apps for every aspect, and some of the apps really work, and those are actually enabled by this AI. So there is a lot of respect for that coming in.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. I think this has been a really, really meaningful conversation. Some takeaways for me. One, is around measurement. If, it's extremely important to measure what you're doing and measure where the progress that you're making. Technology is going to play more and more role when it comes to sustainability. Partnering with the right agencies and service providers is extremely important. Ankit was here and Brookfield's doing that fabulous work. I'm sure there are many other service providers as well. So making sure, and then finally, of course, making sure that you drive that culture of sustainability in the organization will help you create better plans. Now, a lot of people sitting in this room may not be directly engaged with ESG targets, but some of you might be. My request, and I would urge each one of us to get more and more involved, because this is not going to go away. This is only going to have a greater impact in our lives and in our work as we go forward. For those of you who are coming from Delhi, you know how polluted it is, how difficult it is to breathe, and it's not going to get any better. So from our standpoint, as of course, as responsible citizens, as responsible corporate citizens, and as drivers of change that we call ourselves in the GCC world, extremely important that we become engaged in driving sustainability. We help our organizations become more sustainable or contribute more to the environment or to the society that we live in. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up unless there are any questions in the room. If anybody wants to ask anything, yes, please. There's a question right in front.
Thank you. So when we have been speaking on sustainability, so going forward, yesterday also we have discussed on next and new, what is going to be next and new. So considering COVID times, and then we have had work from home, complete work from home, and then again, offices are open now. So coming to that perspective, question to the panel is, going forward, what could be, what happens to the real estate when it comes to people coming to offices? What kind of setup that could be there for a GCC or any function for that matter, GCC function?
Shankar, you have a large organization working with you. Do you see changes happening in the way people come to work or work arrangements?
Is it like we completely eliminate them and kind of give employees work from home? Many software companies started doing that already. To GCC, that kind of setup will work, or how is it that you foresee?
Began by saying that the employees have started coming back to the office, right? So the three fundamentals which we need to look at there is the office environment healthy, sustainable, and making sure that they are breathing fresh air. The first thing what they need to look at. The second thing what they need to look at is from home. If you're going to reach the office, you are having work from home, and now you need to reach the office. So what's the kind of mode of transport you pick there to reach to the office? At the end of the day, we have 8 hours of quality working hours need to be put in that place. So therefore, how do you commute from a point to the last mile of your office and back from there? Government is definitely looking at transportation as a subject. When you see 5 years back, 7 years back, Delhi Metro used to be active. Today, you go to 22 cities, you have metro. If you use the metro, you're able to reach faster to the office, and it is also bringing sustainability from not polluting the city. Yeah. And the third final aspect is, how are you as individual taking that? Is that a burden you are taking to go to the office, or how do you really want to make a shift and change in your mindset and then make things happen? I would say these three things can actually make a materialistic difference for the citizen, the individual, the organization, and the country.
Thank you. All right. So I think we wrap this up. Thank you so much, my fellow panelists. Thank you so much, Anil. Shankar.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We got a couple of mementos that we'd like to get to. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Just a moment, please. May I request Prag Mehta, VP and Head Customer Solutions, Quintus Global, to please come. to give a memento of thanks to Shankar Iyer.
Shankar is.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sure. Thank you, sir.
Suresh Kumar Vasudevan, Director, GFC, Hill and Brand, please, to come up. For offering a memento to Anil Kumar Radhakrishnan. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Thanks, Abhinav, for navigating that so beautifully.